Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new season of Front Row on Economy.lk. Today in conversation, I'm privileged to have Deshamanya Mahesh Amalean, Chairman of MAS Holdings, with us to speak to us during this interview. Welcome, Mahesh.
Thank you, Shiran, for inviting me to speak to your viewers on Frontline. Thank you.
Mahesh, I think when we talk about, especially in this post-COVID kind of scenario, at least going through the COVID scenario, and the last 6 to 8 months, the export numbers have shown sort of a V-shaped recovery, and apparel has been a key part of that story and the resilience. Maybe for our viewers who are in all kinds of businesses, to understand from you leading one of the biggest apparel firms, how was that sort of achieved? And what is the outlook for the apparel sector in the next maybe 1 to 2 years, if that's possible to look at that type of horizon?
So, Shiran, what happened was that the apparel industry in Sri Lanka really got 2 shocks. The first of which was when COVID hit China, our supply stream and supply chain got interrupted. So we had the orders, right, and we had capacity, but we couldn't supply our customers. And when the virus spread across to the West, right, the demand side dropped because they shut their stores, right? And as they shut their stores, they put a stop to all shipments, right, that we had already ready for shipment. And at the same time, we had to close all our operations because the country locked down. So there are 2, very significant shocks to the apparel industry. So it's interesting how the apparel industry sort of rebound after that. Clearly, the industry got together. We have a very strong voice through our Joint Apparel Association Forum, and the leadership of the industry got together to understand exactly what this meant in terms of complete shutdown of demand on the one side, and having the responsibility to be able to ensure that we continue to provide for the livelihood of all the thousands of people working with us. That was a huge challenge. So for us, it was the first thing that we needed to do was to really ensure that we had enough funds for our operations, or enough cash in hand to be able to service some of our commitments locally. That was the first thing. And then reorganize ourselves. How do we ensure that in our environment, which is a manufacturing environment, right, where the product is passed from one hand to the other to be produced, where there are lots of people who work in our manufacturing operations, how do we ensure that they are safe when we start? So we had a team of our manufacturing CEOs who really, or COOs, who really got together and looked at how we bring social distancing in manufacturing in order to do that. So when the lockdowns sort of eased in the country, we sort of slowly eased and improved our capacity. But it was very tough in the initial years to really take the shock of the first wave.
Right. And I think part of the recovery also is kind of what's going on in the global landscape as well, especially the trade landscape. Even pre-COVID, there was all this talk about trade shifts and things moving out of China to potentially other countries as well. As a business that's really exposed to this, and you have operations in Sri Lanka and so many other countries as well, are you all really seeing those trade shifts as a business? And what are some of the things that you all are hearing from your customers in terms of maybe reorienting supply chains?
The answer is yes. We are beginning to see the trade shifts. The trade conflict between the US and China impacted the businesses we have in Vietnam, in Indonesia, and in Bangladesh much more meaningfully than Sri Lanka. but definitely there's a shift taking place. What is also taking place is the fact that because most people are working from home, there is a change in the product category, right, that customers are buying. So there is a shift to athleisure products, formal wear, what you and I are wearing now. The market completely dropped off the cliff, and athleisure really picked up significantly. The other piece is because they were all working from home again, our customers and us, we were unable to really engage in product creation. And so there's a huge spike in using digital technology in product creation, right? So we're seeing that huge difference. The other, and probably the most remarkable feature that I would really think this whole experience has brought about is the huge spike in digital commerce, right? I mean, digital commerce grew at a particular rate over the last 8 years, and I think in the last 8 weeks, it sort of spiked to almost 3x, 4x. For example, Nike's digital commerce grew by 80%, Lululemon by about 150%, and the pure play digital brands 200%, 300%. And the question then is, so what does that mean to you? And what muscles do you sort of build in order to be able to support and service that? So these are some of the shifts that are taking place, and in some ways these shifts benefit exporters or exporting countries.
Right. In my final question, Mahesh, I think as a business leader, you've sort of managed this real uncertainty that we've seen in the last 6 to 8 months. And the outlook is also quite uncertain, even though we have talks about potential vaccines coming into the market as well. As a business leader, putting your business cap on, how do you sort of navigate the business through this uncertainty? I know conversations prior to this, we were talking about how you've really been full on focus to drive the recovery. But for other business leaders who are probably not been so successful in the last 6 to 8 months, what would you sort of advise them?
Shiran, since March, I have stayed extremely close to our customer, right? Every other day, I've been in touch with them. And the objective was to really understand what's happening into their business, what's working, what's not working, right? What shift is taking place in their thinking, in their behavior, in their strategies, right? And how those will impact us. And what do we need to do at our end in order to be able to ensure that we are agile and we are quick in order to respond to that. So that's been the focus right from that particular point of time. The second piece is really ensuring that you're financially resilient. We spent a lot of time and effort to make sure that we were financially resilient. The third piece would be ensuring that our operations were agile, right, and could respond to any changes that are taking place in our manufacturing. And probably the fourth piece is investing in digital technology, right? Because I think that that's going to make a huge difference right from product creation through to delivery to the customer, maybe even directly to the consumer at some point of time, right? I'm also seeing a huge focus on sustainability, sustainable product, right? In terms of, is the material that you're using recycled, or can it be reused? Are you using a process that does not hurt the environment. So there's a huge focus in that as well. So I think it's important, if you want to be able to really be one of those out there as a shining star, all right, you need to take a look at all these aspects. And I believe, I've always been an optimist, right? And I believe that if you do the right thing by yourself, by your people, and by your customer, right, by the environment, you'll win. You always win.
Great. I think on those words, it brings a fantastic conversation to an end, but I think it's a conversation that will really spark thought to our viewers and rethink maybe their businesses, or if you're thinking of setting up a business, what to really look at. Thank you so much, Mahesh, for joining with me on this Front Row episode, and to our viewers, stay tuned for similar insightful videos and conversations with well-renowned business personalities.